Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are viewing us from wherever you are on the globe. I'm so excited to have the honor of having my guest, Danny Cohen. He's going to tell a little bit about his life, and you'll see why I am excited and wanted him to tell us his story. Hello, welcome, Danny.
Hi, Brent. It's great to
Yeah.
talk to you finally.
Oh, it's a wonderful. It's funny. Sometimes we can know of each other, or we can uh, talk each other, so to speak, through exchanges of post uh, and text messages and things like that. But
Hmm.
it's nice to have a chance to have you on my show and to talk with you.
Certainly is.
So, what's your story? When does it all start? Um, um, Tell me a little bit about.
Sure. So my journey started about 10 years ago. I have epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and hydrocephalus. And then 10 years ago, I decided to have three brain surgeries for my seizures to try and become seizure free. And those surgeries were unsuccessful, but successful surgeries in a way, because even though I didn't become seizure free after those surgeries, I was able to look at my life in a completely different light, where Um, there was a time that I didn't accept my disability for what it was. I didn't like myself for who I am. And uh, after the surgery, I wanted to change that. I wanted to really accept my reality and love who I am and finally be grateful for the life that I have. And so after I found out that even though those surgeries didn't work and now I'll continue to have seizures and uh, obviously continue to have my cerebral palsy, I now wanted to learn how to love Danny for who he is and what he's about. So as I sat in my hospital room for a period of about 3 months, I began to read a lot about different gratitude practices and different mindfulness exercises. But the one thing that really stuck out was being grateful. And I knew I wasn't a grateful person prior to the surgery. And then as I started to reading about being grateful and how it's not just being grateful in the good, but also being grateful in the bad. And a lot of us, we struggle about how can we be grateful when we're going through all this crazy stuff and all this, horrible things that are happening to us. I found that if I was allowed to allow myself to be grateful in that moment and not for what I was going through, then I became a much happier person. And I started to, as I said, sit in the hospital bed and I wrote myself a promise. And that promise was to be grateful.
Wow.
And as I wrote that one promise turned into 31 promises. So each day was a new promise. It was be grateful for who you are, accept yourself for who you are. I promise to love my family, different things throughout the month. And so each day I felt better and better. And then when I eventually got out of the hospital, things started to look a bit different. I started to look a bit different. And um, now, here it is 10 years later, I'm able to help other people like myself see their lives a bit different and discover their journey with epilepsy or another chronic illness. Because out of those promises, I was able to write a book, and that's 31 days, 31 promises to bring more hope, love, and courage into your life. And
And can they get that on the Amazon?
they can either get that on Amazon or they can get that through me.
Okay,
So I can certainly provide that link for you if you'd like.
please. That would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Um, but through that book, And through all the promises that I had written, that's allowed me to reach so many different people and help so many people in their journey towards self-love, gratitude, and healing.
Wow, that's wonderful. And um, I imagine um, life likes to throw us curves, um, but uh, one of, pick out one of the challenges that you faced um, in the last year.
In the last year, I've had another series of surgeries over the past year and a half where I did have a bowel obstruction that was caused by, I have four shunts for the hydrocephalus. And due to those four shunts, they caused some bowel issues. And last year, I was having some issues where one of those obstructed my intestine. Um, and I had gone into the hospital, and thankfully they caught it in time. Whereas if they didn't, I was told, my parents were told that I would have not have made it through. And
Wow.
so they had just got me to the hospital in time, and they had done this surgery where they had taken out about 18 inches of the intestine. And that was one of the toughest times that I've experienced. I mean, I've never had an operation like that before. I've been through many surgeries in the past, primarily, most of those being brain surgeries, but something like this I was never prepared for. And that was a huge challenge for me. I'm still recovering from that, but um, as I say, I was extremely grateful for being able to get through it. I was grateful for the doctors that were able to help me get through it. Grateful for my parents that helped me, push through it and have them support me throughout the entire time. So even though it was a horrible thing, and I would never wish it on anybody, it was just a very humbling experience.
Wow, that's amazing. And um, and what have you found? Uh, one of your successes on your path in the past 2 years. What can you tell us about it?
Well, from a personal standpoint, being able to now, whenever I find myself getting anxious or still I'll go into those dark places, as we all do, I'm able to get myself out of it now a lot quicker, whether it be through the practice of gratitude or self-acceptance. I've really learned how to radically accept what life is about, what my circumstances are about, and being able to accept the beautiful mess of life. It's just has allowed me to get through most anything that I've been dealing with.
Wow. Um, could you talk a little bit about um, your radical acceptance? You mentioned that.
Yeah,
Um, can you tell the viewers what that entails?
sure. So radical acceptance is, you know, we all have to accept to some extent. And if we don't accept, we're just in complete denial of what's going on in our lives. But with radical acceptance, if you're living with a chronic illness, as you and I both know, something that's not going to go away and you're with it for the rest of your life, if you fully choose to accept it and you allow yourself to really sit with it for a while and embrace it all, don't allow the external world to tell you that you have to be a certain way to please everybody else and be this and be that just to be happy. That's radical acceptance. And I've been able to now realize that if I'm tired, I step back and realize that I'm tired. I don't have to go out and socialize with anybody else just because I feel the need to have to do that. I can say no when I feel the need to say no instead of always saying yes. You know, that's radical acceptance, fully taking the responsibility that you're going through what you're going through and allowing it to just run off your shoulders because the more we accept whatever we're thrown at us in life, the much easier it is to embrace life. And I know it sounds easy to do, and it's not easy to do by any means, to fully accept all of your life circumstances. But gratitude has also played a key role in that because when you're grateful, it's much easier to accept your current set of circumstances, whether
Wow.
it's the uncertainties that come with those circumstances or the good things that come with those circumstances. There's always that in between stuff that goes along with an illness or anything else, but of course with an illness. So that's what radical acceptance truly is.
Thank you, Danny, um, for um, going deeper in that. And
Yeah,
I'm curious, what does your shirt say? I see it says not never.
it says never give up.
Wow,
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's so that's basically my motto is never give up. Never give up and keep on keeping on. Those are my two biggest mottos.
Beautiful. Well, I know that 15 minutes isn't a lot to go into it, but I love that we can touch on um, your challenges as well as your successes, and that you go forward to deal with life. And like you said, you'll never give up.
Right.
Well, thank you for coming on and being my guest. And folks, uh, till next week, uh, have a wonderful day. Thank you to your success.